I'm sitting right down inside here now, so you can see. So here's one of the hydraulic lines going to the valve assembly, and this is the clamp I'm talking about. That clamps the top of this tube down to the top of this valve assembly. And I think the valve body's going to have where the shaft comes out right here, there's going to be a seal there, and I think that's my problem. I might be completely wrong about that. But right now I'm going to have to loosen that. I'm going to have to loosen these two nuts right here because there's a U-shaped clamp that is clamping this tube to this cross brace right here. And then there's a second cross brace here. Same kind of clamp, so I gotta loosen those. And then I think we're free and clear until we get up to this whole mess up here at the dash where it was basically welded into place. And I can imagine when they were welding this, that tube probably got pretty hot. So I don't know if that would have damaged the seal way down below, but it probably would damage that seal up top. Maybe they welded it before they put the seal in. Although I don't think so. Judging from the looks of this thing, I think this is a down and dirty, get it out there repair. Well, I've loosened this clamp, and I've loosened these two cross clamps, and so now I believe that if I grind that weld away at the top there where it goes to the dashboard, that I'll be able to actually remove this whole Alright, I hit a button there on the camera, but I think if I grind this area away now, I think I can actually pull this whole tube out. I'm just curious how this shaft works. If there's some kind of a coupling in there. In other words, when I grind that at the top, will I be able to pull just the tube off, and will I then expose some sort of a coupling? Or does the shaft of this valve, is the shaft that's down inside this valve actually just one big long shaft? I kind of doubt that. So, well, I'm not getting anywhere this way. I might as well just get the grinder out, see what I can do. Of course, this is gonna do a number on my beautiful epoxy repair over here. But hopefully, if I'm successful at the end of this journey, I won't need the epoxy here because I will have stopped the leak. Theoretically. Well, I don't know if I'm in frame or not, or what you're looking at, but I just stopped because I just struck oil. A little squirt of power steering fluid came out of there, so I've gotten through. I think that's the spot where the hole was. One of the pinholes that I had closed up. This is proving to be very tricky, trying to separate this column from this dashboard. At the same time, I'm trying not to end up just cutting right through the column. I think I'm going to try a new tactic. I'm going to try and grind this all flush right here, and then change to a cutoff blade and try and cut this right down here and on the other side, and see if I can't get this whole back piece to separate from the dashboard, because that clearly looks like what they did originally. bought these discs, they don't fit my grinder. That's a small arbor on them things. Ow, small hole. Ah. I did find some more discs. Oh, what a pain in my butt. Seems like there's a clearance issue no matter where I try and cut. Lost the special wrench that fits this, and the one from my Hitachi. This one looks just like it, but it doesn't fit these holes. Not the same. Why would it be? That'd be too easy. And usually I could just get this off with channel locks, but it's really tightened up on me. Ah, bless it. Only got two left. What I did was I decided to cut around this whole beaded area altogether. Dummy. There's actually two wrenches that I lost that came with this. One actually goes in there, and it's a spanner that fits right in there. Alright guys, this camera has a timeout feature on it, which is kind of annoying. It only records for so many minutes and then it just shuts off. Goes back to pause or whatever. So you missed. I wore down that one disc trying to get down to finishing this. Changed out to a new disc. I barely got started and it bound in the slot, kicked back, and exploded the disc, which is a good reason to wear face protection anyways, and having trouble getting this off again. It's tight again, but just for the heck of it I decided to see what would happen if I put my pipe wrench on here and torqued on this, and lo and behold, this whole thing broke free. It's still holding on a little bit there, and what I discovered that this is thin metal, so this is a thin piece that was fabricated later for a repair, and I must have got the joint spot right, because right here it's thick metal. So I slotted it right almost perfectly. Couldn't get much better than that on this side. But what I didn't realize was that they left this corner of the dash on this side. So what I've actually done here on this side, on the back side, is I've cut through two layers, and it's attached to the very top just a little bit still. So I'm going to go get a cold chisel and try and just bang that off of there, because this is actually moving. I've actually got the tube loosened up at the bottom, and a bunch of fluid fell out, which I expected because there was a bunch of fluid collected in there. But this is on its way to coming out. I can see now that I dropped this away that I managed to go too deep with the disc over here, and I did cut a slot right in the steering column. If that ain't bad enough, it still isn't coming off. It was. Moved up a quarter inch. And it's sliding off of the shaft, and the shaft coming with this. Can't tell because it appears to have stopped moving. Alright, it looks like I just twisted this with the wrench again, and when I did that, this actually popped back down, and there's a space now here that I noticed wasn't there when I had that space down there, so that means this this column's trying to come off and the shaft wants to stay behind, which I don't have a problem with that, except there's no way that's going to happen with this woodruff key in there, this key stock. I think this shaft is tapered. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. Maybe with vice grips. Let's see if this works. Wasn't what I was trying to do, but that broke free now, so that's all. Did move a little. Reposition. Try again. I think it moved a little again. I think it's just looks like it's moving because the pliers are slipping off as I tap. Let me see. This dashboard had been so badly cut up by somebody, there's really not much left of it in the tractor. But there's enough of a rat's nest of wiring and cables and everything that I'm not going to attempt to remove the entire thing. Even though that would let me get the whole valve, take the whole valve out of the tractor. Oh, finally get that out. Alright, I'm low on disk space, memory on this card, so I'm going to talk kind of fast here. What I've discovered after doing a ton of work, taking these brackets, these clamping brackets, which are two-piece, both of them completely out, doing all that, what I found out is that this pipe actually flares out at the end. It's actually a larger diameter at the very bottom, where it goes over the outside of the steering valve shaft. And the problem is that these holes are not big enough to allow that to come out. There's no way this is going to slide out this way. But I did slide it out pretty far, and now I've taken out the bolts and dropped that steering valve down, and now I'm going to go back in there and I'm going to try and undo the hard hydraulic lines and see if I can get that whole steering valve out, because that's, I think, the only way I'm going to fix this at this point. And I released this far enough so a bunch of hydraulic fluid dumped out, and that's just filled with sludge, like what you would find inside of a crankcase in the bottom of an oil pan.